For the last few years, the main focus of Cancerians was clearing out bills and getting themselves financially stable. With the ever-so-slow transit of Saturn in the house of debt, this unfortunate reality might have constantly been looming in the background. At the same time, you try to make sure advancements in your career or even just finalizing some more personal projects. The good news is that 2023 is here to change that. Saturn will be long gone from the house of debt in your chart now, so there's a lot of room for positive developments to take place. Still, before we explore how this change will affect you more tangibly, it would be good to look at the very foundation of the year. By having a solid foundation, we can assure a prosperous end. With that said, January starts a bit rocky. We're still on the tail end of the double retrograde of Mars and Mercury that started at the end of 2022, so you might want to be a little patient with yourself at the very start of the year. This is especially true for the Cancerians born during the day, since Mars can be one of the most challenging planets for you. This retrograde was also happening in your 12th house, where we often find vices and overabundant sexual energy when combined with Mars. While that can be a rather tricky energy to navigate, that passionate impulse can also be great for getting things done. Your challenge will be to channel those carnal urges towards something a little more constructive. Especially since the 12th house is also the place of seclusion, you'll have to learn how to manage your energy levels while unsupervised. Doing so will be a significant hurdle to overcome, but you can expect things to get considerably easier after January 18th, when both Mars and Mercury will start moving forward again. Still, don't let this discourage you from honoring your primal instincts. Have fun, but do so responsibly. After the initial hiccups this early year has to offer, things start to look up again, especially on March 7th when Saturn moves out of Cancer's 8th house. Like mentioned earlier, the 8th house is about debt, and since Saturn is the planet of difficulties and restrictions, having it move out of that place can be rather beneficial. Though, this doesn't mean that Saturn is gone forever. It merely shows that challenges will be in a different space. This transit lands Saturn in your 9th house. This is the place of higher education and spirituality, but also that of journeys and travels to foreign lands. This might be a sign that travel planets could be a little bit more challenging to navigate. This transit lasts for about 2.5 years, which can be somewhat discouraging, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't travel at all during this whole time. As much as Saturn is the planet of difficulties, it's also the planet of important lessons. Though travel might not be necessarily easy, it can still teach you something valuable about your place in the world. On a more positive note, this transit can also point to the deepening of knowledge. We all know how studying can be tedious, but Saturn really thrives in those spaces. Those starting or returning to higher education institutions are about to start a long journey toward mastery. It's important to remember here that Saturn will reward you for your efforts if you're willing to dive deep into your studies. So don't hold back. There's much to learn in the next few years. 2023 is arguably the most important since it hosts the onset of this academic venture. Make sure to dot all your I's and cross all your T's, and your success is almost certainly guaranteed. Now, if we're talking about planets making sign shifts, we can't ignore the planet taking over Saturn's place in your 8th house. And, I know that this might sound a little stress-inducing, given that we were just celebrating how we won't have Saturn bringing financial hardships in that place anymore, but this next planet is a little different. On the 23rd, Pluto will briefly make an appearance in your 8th house. While this planet's cycles are much longer than Saturn's, lasting 20 years on average, this ingress merely foreshadows the process to come. Pluto is the planet of transformation, so having it in the 8th house can be pretty valuable. As much as it brings significant events that take a while to be figured out, it usually brings reversals. So if a debt has always been a problem in your life, the good news is that Pluto is here to manifest events to help you change that. With that said, in 2023, he will only stay in that house from March 23rd to June 11th. During this period, you can expect the sources of your debt to be very visible. This can bring specific stressors to the surface, but this will also be an excellent opportunity for you to address them before Pluto fully commits to staying in that particular house in 2025. A focus on saving and paying off your credit card will be highly rewarded. The 8th house is also the place of collaborations and loans, so there's also a good chance of some help coming your way to help you make this happen. 2023 is here to get you back on track, Cancer. You might not want to hear that there's more hard work ahead, But you can rest assured that the job this year has in stock for you is far more enjoyable than the previous years. Good luck. You got this.